So we'll have okay.
Here's another important question: does Luffy think he's dreamy?
I mean, maybe. How would you know he's dreamy? He's got a mask on. His entire face is covered in clouds.
That doesn't matter.
Oh my god! Can you not flirt with everyone who comes in the booth?
I'm sorry. I mean, you had your chance with Bishop Sarhane and you didn't take it.
That's true, and you have had your chance so far this week with 2 criminals that we've brought in, and both of those you're trying to swing. And do we want to talk about your vacation with your dad? Well, let's go. Let's talk about your love life suddenly.
With her dad? What?
Luffy, this previous week, has just come back from a vacation where she went on a cruise to Zendrick, with her father.
Mm-hmm.
Because her dad is a weird dude. Because he's super lonely.
Weird, lonely man.
Okay.
There's a lot of jokes.
Has that been on the show before? Has he been on the show before?
No, because he's canon, we've been hesitant to bring him on.
He's technically in the Dragon Marked book from 3.5, Heartless Haskell Decivis.
I think the only actual canon character we brought on was Zorchillik, and that's because it's fucking Zorchillik.
Hello, my name's Rebecca.
You saw me drinking. I see. This is why we have such terrible intros, because you always try and sass him. Steve's drinking a whole gallon of water. Let me ask him now. We'll try again?
Sure. Hello, my name's...
I'm drinking again. Why would you do that?
You're literally not. You're looking at me. Your hands are on your hips.
Yeah, I'm being sassy.
You start.
No, I don't want to start.
No, you start.
I don't want to start.
Oh my god.
Hi, my name is Steve. I got it in. It was definitely the first one. Hi, everyone. It's Steve. And that person who can't get her stuff together, that's Rebecca. She's entirely unprofessional. You guys know. You've listened to the episodes.
And with us today, we have the... author.
Swing and a miss.
Yeah, I'm the worst.
Wow. That's my fault. It's because I shut her brain down.
Shut me down.
Oh my good god.
You authored Adventurer's Almanac, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Anthony Turco, as well as so many other things. Yeah. You worked on Tasha's Crucible of
Tasha's everything else. Yep.
Yeah, everything else. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then that's your most recent thing.
Yes. Tasha's Cauldron of Everything Else, Volume 1 and 2. Yeah. I worked on that with a collaboration of a bunch of other people. Very, very, very talented DMsGuild authors.
That's really cool to hear. I have a question though. Why do you guys have a second one if it's everything else? Didn't you nail everything else in the first one? Because now I've got questions.
No, it was too big, so they had to put it in 2.
If there's Xanathar's Guide to Everything and then Tasha's Guide to Everything, why are there 2 different books?
Because I guess it's perspective.
Yeah, gotta get that female perspective.
Okay, all right.
Xanathar, he just drew boobs in all the corners of just everywhere.
No, I think those were eye stalks.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah,
he said they were eye stalks.
Yeah. He's a beholder. I don't even know if he knows what they look like. So
yeah,
that's an interesting question. I think they answered that in 3.5 in
Let's not.
Lords of Madness.
Is this actually going to be aired?
Who knows? It's a toss-up.
Yeah, with us, out of characters, they tend to be a little more. It's jazz. It's freeform. It's just a little bit of. Let's talk about boobs and 3.5.
Oh, okay.
So Stephen, would you please ask our friend, start on the list of questions we have?
Okay, I can actually absolutely.
Yeah.
Anthony, what do you do?
Well,
I'm sorry, I can ask that question a little bit more eloquently.
go ahead.
Anthony, let's talk about your process and what it goes into creating the different things you do. What is it you do?
Well, so my day job is in finance, but I don't think that's why I'm here. I'm probably here because of my tabletop RPG writing and game designing, which my process for that is to sit down at my computer when I'm in the mood for it and not leave for hours and days at a time.
Does that work?
I get very little sleep, but it does.
Man, because I can't do that, because I will just stare, and then hours will pass, and I'm like, well, I achieved nothing. This day is a waste.
You know what? The hardest part is the first blank page of like a Word document. So it's just so there's something intimidating about like seeing like the cliff of the project in front of you that you have to climb and being at ground zero. So I kind of I cheat a little bit by having like my own custom Word template. So I already have like the cover design that I want to do, and then like the first title page. So at least I know like I'm starting from someplace. So it's not just like a blank page, you know.
That is a very interesting idea. I maybe I have to try that, because a lot of times either I hit a block. So when I'm doing writing, I often just hit a block out of nowhere and then get stuck, or I go off on a tangent and decide I'm going to rewrite all the rules for 5th edition while I'm trying to work on a module that means nothing, you know.
Right, yeah. I mean, I get some blocks sometimes too, but I don't stress about it because, like I said, this isn't my day job. Like, I'm in finance, so whenever I have writer's block, I just stop doing it for like a week or a month at a time and play video games or go do something else. And then when inspiration strikes, I'm ready to go back into it. So that's probably why my latest project that I'm working on, Map Perilous, has taken me literally like 3 years to write.
Oh my goodness!
Like, I started writing it, and then I got the bug to start another book, and I wrote and finished and released that book, Scion's Primer, and then went back to Map Perilous.
I was gonna say, everyone's talking about Scion's Primer.
Yeah. With Tasha's and stuff.
Yep. Yeah. There's a lot of talk about psionics. Ooh, baby.
Yeah, psionics is one of my favorite things about 3rd edition D&D, and also how Eberron incorporated it. So
I really enjoyed that. That was one of the things that I was like, oh man, they're just immediately including it, and it's a lot of fun, and it has a lot of flavor to it, and it has its own place in the world.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So good.
Like when I first I started playing in 3.5 or 3rd edition or whatever, and the psionic book, it seemed really interesting to me because it was like a strange non-magic thing. But like if you play in a standard fantasy world, like, you know, Greyhawk or Forgotten Realms or something like that, like it might be canonically in the world, but it's just kind of this weird esoteric thing that doesn't really have like a place in the lore, you know? Like, it doesn't impact the world at all, because it's supposed to be like this optional thing that you can use or not use.
Yeah, like it's thrown into a corner, and it's just like, anybody you meet who uses this is weird and exotic.
You're looking at a beautiful map, it's all sculpted out, and there's a sticker on it, a little happy smiley face that just sticks out. Oh, that's where psionics is, you know?
Right. Or like, I remember stories of 2nd edition, because I started 3rd, but like there's stories of like Elminster having 5 levels of Scion because he had to have all the cool levels. So like he's a wizard, but also a little bit of a Scion, and it like, but he's not a Scion. He's still just, you know, the arch wizard or whatever of the setting. So it was always this weird kind of tacked on feeling to other fantasy worlds, and I feel like Eberron, as like the flagship 3rd edition campaign setting, like the first new one they made for that edition, it like incorporated it in such a, you know, unique and fulfilling way that psionics hadn't really been given its due before, except probably for Dark Sun, where it was the pendulum swung the entire other way with Dark Sun, and everything was psionics instead of magic.
I remember 3.5 and trying to balance the like as a non-Eberron player at that time, just trying to have so hard when someone would be like, "Hey, I want to do Scion," it would throw your whole game off. And
really?
then
I've never really encountered that. I did
because then you run into a lot of people who are like, "Okay, well, this has spell resistance. Well, how does spell resistance work for this creature? Is it psionic resistance?"
So the default to that was spell resistance and sonic resistance was the same thing. But I was a real big crunchy rules nerd in 3rd edition. And now I write, but I think I've learned a little bit of lessons looking at the game design of 5th edition and 4th. But like back in 3rd edition, I loved all the nitty gritty rules and stuff. So I took the Magic Sonics transparency rules, and then I made it even more complicated. Totally unnecessarily, but it made sense in my head. So my players didn't have to worry about it. I just kind of, adjusted difficulties on the fly and whatever. But yeah, for Eberron it was cool because like if you wanted to run a campaign that was like all psionics, you could. If you wanted to run a campaign with no psionics, you could. And if you wanted a campaign with like a mix, you could do that too, because it's just like all the different power groups have their own tool sets. So like if you're doing a game with fighting against the dragon below with the Daleker, you can have like, the warlock dark magic kind of Daleker cultists, and then you could also have the, weird, strange psionics, like Lovecraftian psionic stuff with them too. So it was pretty cool. I liked it.
So, did you begin your TTRPG journey with 3.5 or 3rd edition, or was there something else that got you into tabletop role-playing games?
So I think my first exposure to anything like D&D or tabletop RPGs was from the collector's edition of Diablo 2. It released with like a module and like pewter miniatures to like play a tabletop version of Diablo. But I didn't have enough friends that were into it at the time in high school. So it wasn't until I got to like sophomore year of college where I met like my college buddies and they taught me 3.0 D&D for the first time. And I basically took to it like a fish to water. I was like, this is so cool. And I never turned back.
Have you played other role-playing games other than just D&D?
Yes, I played Big Eyes Small Mouth, a little bit of Exalted, a little bit of Apocalypse World or Dungeon World.
Okay.
Both of those, yeah. Pathfinder, which is basically just D&D.
Yeah, Pathfinder is just 3.5 but shinier.
Right, yeah. So yeah, I played a little bit of other things, but mostly it's D&D.
Some of the lore in Pathfinder is really good. I will like.
We played a few Pathfinder games, and I really enjoyed. We always did like the adventure paths, and I thought that they were always really well written.
Yeah.
So that's something
that is something that I would like to see more of in D&D is like adventure paths. I know that they have that with like Dungeons of the Mad Mage
I can suggest the Convergence Manifesto on the DMsGuild.
Convergence Manifesto.
I helped edit the first half of.
What?
You don't listen to our podcast, but we've mentioned several events of Convergent Manifesto already.
Yes.
Oh, cool. I do listen to your podcast. I just like to binge it.
Don't do that. No, it's not good for your system to do that. It's not going to go well.
I think the last one I listened to was the first Long Shadows episode.
Wow, you're behind.
Silas goes completely off the rails.
Classic Silas.
Those were good episodes.
For after the Long Shadows, the very first one of the new year in 998, we actually interview a Warforged, and during that one, for the news, we talk about that we saw jumpers jumping from the guild, diving down, and then in the episode that just passed, we had a conversation about Silas, who went on vacation, and while he was on vacation, a bunch of people on the train jumped off midway through while they were headed over a ravine, and they just dove down. Perfect timing.
That was the one that Laura wrote. That was really good. The extraplanar DMV scene was amazing.
So much good in reading those, and it was really hard to figure out how to tie them back in, because a lot of it takes place out of Sharn, so it was really hard, and we're hoping to hit it like 1 or 2 more of them, and then just having the whole shebang. Yep.
Yeah. Oof. That'll be super cool.
Hopefully we can get someone to come be the voice of a certain provost.
Oh. That'd be interesting.
When we do the interview with her, we'll be like, Imogen, do the provost, please.
Yeah. That'd be so cool.
Oh yeah, well, we're talking.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, we're talking about RPGs. RPGs.
Yeah.
So, what got you into Eberron?
I'm sorry. Oh,
what got you? Yeah, of all the things, like what was it that drew you into Eberron? Because
so, I think I didn't have a physical copy, but they released like the web copy of the Across Eberron like first promo pamphlet thing, where it was just a bunch of concept art, I think by Steve Prescott, of like the Warforged and the lightning rails and like the airships and stuff like that. And I don't know if it was the like hint of modern elements, because it's not like D20 modern. It's not like cars and guns or anything like that in Eberron, but like there's just enough stuff in there that it feels a little bit more modern than like Lord of the Rings or Greyhawk or Forgotten Realms and stuff like that. And I don't know why, but that really just drew to me, and I thought it was super cool.
I mean, Eberron is super cool.
I'm really super happy about the the current renaissance of D&D in 5th edition. It's like the most successful edition they've had ever in history, I think.
Oh yeah,
yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so like I'm definitely not one of those people that is all like, oh, it was better back in the old days when blah blah blah. Definitely not one of those. I think new blood is really important for any hobby.
I was gonna say, yeah, I'm solidly one of those. I was against Eberron when it first came out. I will be.
Oh, it was too modern for you?
So I was super into Oerth, and I really enjoyed a lot of the Greyhawk setting and a lot of the stories in there. And I absolutely hated Forgotten Realms. And then they brought out Eberron, and I was like, oh, this is just something else. I'm just trying to be. I just like my D&D the way it is. And then I played one game in it, and it was the starter game, and I was like, Dragonmark House is the fucking coolest thing on the planet. I'm all in on this. This is all I care about. Yeah. I will give my life to this, and then I stopped caring about anything related to Oerth and Greyhawk. Yeah.
It's like Shadowrun light, in the sense that it's not like super awful grimdark like any cyberpunk game would be, but there are mega corporations. They're just called mercantile houses. And like they have like this magical monopoly on like society. It's super fascinating. I love how it came together. Big props to Keith Baker, James Wyatt, Bill Slavsek, and I think there's somebody else that I'm forgetting.
Yeah. They won't know. They don't listen. That's fine.
Yeah, true. Yeah, but the original group, because everybody knows Keith Baker.
Yeah.
But he also, he designed it with a bunch of other people, and I think he would also like to share the credit too. So, definitely, James Wyatt, I think, has brought a lot of it to the setting, and I'm really glad he's back writing for D&D.
I was gonna say James Wyatt. Isn't Bruce Cordell? Wasn't he also in that one? Monte Cook was.
Bruce Cordell is also one of my favorites. He's the guy who wrote the expanded 3.5 Psionic book, which like half of my book is based on. So.
So let's slightly change focus, I suppose, into our more silly questions. Now, I will tell you, you are one of
two. It's two now.
It's two. Yep. 2 people. You are one of 2 people who we have interviewed who has actually gotten these questions before we've asked them.
Okay.
So if your answer isn't good,
from this point forward, we will just put everyone on the spot, and this is on you and Skelly.
Yeah.
All right, I'm game.
If you could cast one spell in real life, what would that spell be?
See, now I thought about this, and it was a toss-up between 2. It's either Wish or Prestidigitation. See, now Wish is fantastic, but it's also literally a monkey's paw, right? And like, if you cast a Wish in the 5th edition rules, you can mimic any spell ever, like without a chance of some huge mishap happening. So if you can cast a Wish, you can cast any spell and it's fine without a problem. But there's always going to be the temptation to do one of those ad hoc wishes where like something could go wrong depending on how you ask it. And I think, knowing myself, the temptation to get a little bit extra with the wish would be too hard. So I don't think I'm going to give myself a wish. I would just stick with prestidigitation, because honestly, like, if you can have any one at-will spell, and it's only like not a cheat spell like wish, I think prestidigitation is the most versatile and useful for a normal person who isn't like going to fight someone.
Yeah, we definitely we had one of our listeners, Gembo. He went over a whole thing with prestidigitation and exactly how it has infinite uses in your everyday life. And I was like, oh my god, I never would have thought of any of this.
Yeah.
Well, like, the description of prestidigitation is also so open in 5th edition that you could literally be like, could I maybe do this with prestidigitation?
Are you kidding? Like, prestidigitation in the kitchen is amazing.
Yes.
Like just being able to like prepare food like super quick and instantly and clean all like your dirty dishes like with a snap of your finger. Are you kidding me?
You will never have soggy day after pizza again.
Right?
Nope. No,
That's
you're
so
right.
great. So great. I would love to have prestidigitation.
Oh, look at me. I'm eating this celery, and it tastes like fresh pizza. Yum, 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 yum.
You wouldn't eat this because
the texture, the texture is going to be the problem with that.
Because then you get the
but I could,
flavor versus texture.
I could eat lettuce and pretend it's pineapple.
Yeah,
I
like,
could do that.
Even without going crazy with the whole taste thing, right? Like even if you're just adding normal, like the taste of normal spices, like you know how expensive saffron is.
Yes, I'm a saffron dealer. I'm close.
We've talked about growing saffron ourselves.
Right? Yeah. Like if you go to like, you know, the grocery store and you go to the spices aisle, you can get like a jug of garlic salt for like $1.50, and then you go over a couple inches and there's the bottle, like the tiny bottle of saffron, and it's like 2 little tiny twig twines of saffron for like $8.99.
This is imitation vanilla extract, and it is like $1, and then this is just 3 vanilla bean pods for $18.50.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So like prestidigitation just to like save money on spices and like never have to go out and buy spices again would be fantastic. Like always,
you will never oversalt your food again.
Yeah.
I'm really curious as to how that would work logistically. Like, how flavoring your food, would you flavor it as just like, oh, it tastes like birthday cake, or would you like, this tastes more like I'm adding vanilla to it? Would you flavor the sugar and then cook it if you were baking a cake? I've got so many questions about how this would work.
If I were to DM and somebody was casting it, I would say that they could do either. So you could either completely replace the flavor of something, or you could flavor it in the sense that you season it.
Could you over flavor then? Could you over
like then you could take it away?
Yeah.
Because this is too salty. Make it less salty.
Oh man, I'm really enjoying this idea.
Yeah.
Because we've talked briefly, we did a cooking episode, and like I'd really like to go more into magical foods and stuff like that. Man, because once the brain starts percolating, you know, that's the end of it.
Think of it this way, right? Like if the spell allows you to completely overwrite the flavor of a substance, you can taste that substance and then think to yourself, oh, it needs to be a little bit more salty. So I'm going to make it taste exactly what it tastes like, but more salty. And then you're like, okay, no, that's too salty. And then you make it exactly what it tasted like then, but less salty. Like, it just does whatever you want.
Prestidigitation would make poisoning someone so much easier.
I mean, there's already poison that tastes like almonds, so I don't think you need to go crazy with that.
I said easier. So.
This poison tastes like birthday cake. Woohoo! Well, I've decided on a new character for Eberron.
Oh gosh.
Galanda Black Dog.
Yeah, a Galanda Black Dog. Yeah, I have a Galanda Black Dog, but instead of, you know, just a normal one, he actually takes the time to just sell flavored poisons.
Okay.
This one tastes like root beer. Put it in his drink; it'll be fun. Oh yeah. We ask another question that is a pointless and ridiculous question, and that is, if you could add one thing to Eberron, what would you add? You can add anything into Eberron. You're introducing something. What would it be? Or into any fantasy setting, I guess.
Well,
if you're not fun,
because Eberron's the coolest fantasy setting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So this isn't. I didn't take this as a funny, useless question. I took this very seriously.
Oh God!
And my answer is I want Numenera level science fantasy elements to Arganessen, because I think that would be super cool. Do you guys know the Numenera game?
No.
Yes, we're cool. Let's pretend I know. Yeah.
No,
we
know, but our listeners,
our
not.
listeners have no.
Yeah.
So Numenera is one of the latest games made by Monty Cook and Monty Cook Games, and it uses the Cipher system, which I forgot is one of the other games that I do play. It takes place in the world of Numenera, and Numenera is Earth 9 billion years in the future, and there's been what's that? I don't think it's 9 billion. It's 1 billion years in the future, but there's been nine times that intelligent life has evolved, advanced, and then left Earth in one way or another, either disappeared or died out or went extinct or whatever, and then life just evolved again into intelligent life again, and half of them humans evolved again for some reason. No one knows why, but all the technology of the previous civilizations is still part of the world and can be found in the ground or jutting up as the size of a spire, the size of a mountain or something. So the world is in kind of a feudal medieval society, but there's all this ancient technology that that delves into alternate dimensions and hyperspace and satellites up in orbit, and the data sphere, which is kind of a super advanced version of the internet and stuff like that, and nanotechnology and things like that. But it's all obfuscated how it works to these people, because they're just medieval, they're just a medieval society. So it's kind of an amalgamation of science fiction and fantasy. And I would really love to have Arganessen, this continent of dragons who have a society that's been the same society for 100,000 years at least. I think 1 million years. And they're super intelligent, super smart, and I think they should have space stations. And I think they should be able to create moons. So that's one of the my personal kind of headcanon things of Eberron that I would love to see in a book somewhere. Just make Eberron, make the dragons a super advanced, almost science fiction level of society and technology and stuff like that. I think that'd be really fascinating.
That is a really fun idea. Yeah, I could imagine, because that would explain a lot how they pulled off some of the shit they pulled off.
Right. Yeah.
So but it's all kind of prime direct. Sorry.
Right. Well, that's there's actually a bit of that in canon already. The dragon that taught the gatekeeper druids how to make the Zoriat seals and stuff that keep the Daelkyr at bay. She was considered an apostate by Draconic society because she dared to teach, the quote unquote lesser beings Draconic knowledge. And the reason they have that is because the last time they taught a quote unquote lesser race their magic, it was the giants, and the giants nearly destroyed, reality by breaking a moon. And also, there's this fascinating thing with Tiamat and how if the dragons take too much of an active role in ruling or teaching other societies, it strengthens Tiamat's hold on their arrogance and makes it more likely for her to break free. So the dragons already have a reason for having that kind of prime directive where they're very hands off and just keeping an eye on things, because they're self-restraining themselves from just ruling everything, because it would, destroy their society by freeing Tiamat.
I super hardcore love this.
I really enjoy, because there's just so much you could do with that. I really like.
Yeah, that bit's in canon. So there's there's already a veil up, and I would just like to be there to be way more behind that veil than was in the book Dragons of Eberron for 3rd edition, where there's a lot of interesting stuff in that book. Don't get me wrong, but I just want to crank that ridiculous high tech advanced magical society is like what's the quote from Asimov? Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. I want the reverse of that. Any sufficiently advanced magic is indistinguishable from technology, and I want it to be so advanced that the technology looks like sci-fi.
I think that would be so. Like, I'm thinking back to like a lot of the first edition, second edition, because they had a lot of sci-fi elements that were tucked away in different modules that were still set in, and that is all really cool. And I'd love to see something like that in Eberron. I really enjoyed Vivrak, the dragon who taught the gatekeepers. And that whole story. There's so much good. There's so much good. Man.
Eberron's the best.
Yeah. Eberron is the best, and he took this question too seriously. I don't know what we're supposed to do with that.
You gotta tell me if it's a joke question, otherwise I'm gonna take it seriously. So.
Oh no!
I'd much rather you take things seriously than as a joke, because then it just makes us look like fools.
So, a question that's not on here before we get to promoting your stuff: what is your favorite aspect of Eberron? Because you said that you saw a lot of different art and that modernizing was something that you're like, oh, I kind of like that. It's a step in the right direction. But what of all the things in Eberron is your absolute favorite? I think we need to ask that question of more people who are involved in Eberron, because we need people who are casual hearing. Oh, good. Yeah, that's what we want. Hard question. Good.
That is a super hard question. The thing I like the most about Eberron. There are so many villains to choose from. I think that's the coolest thing about Eberron. Like, there is so much that could go wrong with the setting that it's up to the DM to like pick and choose your own campaign, pretty much. And like there's enough that could be tipped over, but that like it doesn't have to if you don't want it to. Because like it's very easy to put like in a Forgotten Realms book that like, oh yeah, the Red Wizards are going to conquer the Dale lands or whatever, then that's very strictly what's going to happen. Like or Zaz Tam is trying to become a god. Like that's what he's going to do. Like he's actively trying to do that. But like with Eberron, it's set up in such a weird, precarious manner that like any villain that you don't want to use, well, their plot can just take another 10 centuries to foment or whatever. And it's really fascinating how to, like, there's so much for heroes to do in the world that I love.
It's a very good answer, because I think a lot of what we enjoy is the adventures and what they can do.
Yeah.
And getting to hear their stories, even if sometimes they do feel a little far-fetched and overlapping. But, man, it is nice to...
I like the trains.
Okay, they're called rails. We've had this conversation before. I'm not going to... Why would anyone call them trains? Come on now. Train what? What are you trying to train?
I mean, I don't think that's a good point. I mean, there are caravan trains that aren't even connected. They're just one after another, and those predate locomotives, right?
Or duck trains.
Locomotives? Is that what? They're lightning rails, guys. I don't know what you guys are talking. Duck train? Duck train.
In the real world,
the ducks are in a row.
In the real world, I think caravan trains, like the word train, predated the invention of that, right, in the 1800s.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I'm pretty sure.
I mean, that feels like something. Yeah, I was gonna say if Rebecca says yes, then the answer is yes, because she's a goddamn train nerd.
No, I'm just a nerd, Steve. Not specifically.
I'm sorry. You ran a Minecraft train server. Did you not?
Right.
Were you
now.
A moderator on that?
So Anthony, tell us a little more in depth about what you're working on now, where people can find the things that you have worked on, where people can get in contact with you if they're interested in other stuff.
Promote your stuff.
Promote my stuff. Okay. So right now, I'm working on Map Perilous, which is going to be a continent-spanning bestiary of the Korranberg continent in Eberron, like the main kind of adventure locale for the campaign setting. And it's going to be organized a little differently from most bestiaries. Instead of A to Z, it's going to be a drill down into each specific region of the setting, like whether that be a country or a frontier or some territory that's in rebellion.
That's going to be really cool. I can't wait to read about Sharn and the different stuff there. Pigeons?
Yeah. Sharn has a section that's bigger than Breland.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. A lot of it is conversions of NPCs or past editions, or brand new stuff that I wanted to bring to the table. There's going to be a new demonic overlord that one of my friends, Meg, helped me brainstorm and create. It's not quite ready for release. Maybe sometime in the next 6 months or so. Don't quote me on that. Other than that, my other books that are already released and you can go check out are on the DMsGuild. If you search for Korranberg Chronicle, that's Corranberg and then Chronicle, spelled the dictionary way with a C, you'll find the rest of my books, which are a mix of other bestiaries, like player option books. Adventure's Almanac and Scion's Primer are the big two player options book, but Scion Primer also has psionic monsters for the DM, which would be cool. If you want to check me out on Discord on the Eberron server, you can chat with me there. I have my notifications on and the server is not muted, so ping me whenever you want.
Well, it has been a delight to have you on.
Thank you.
Everybody should go purchase all of the things. You can go onto DMsGuild, you can find something that Anthony has made, and then just click on his name, and it shows everything he's made, and then just add them all to cart and buy them.
There you go. Yeah, make it easy.
Search by my name. You can search for that too. It's Anthony Turco. Turco is spelled Turco, so that would be pretty easy to do, I guess.
Do it right now.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you for coming on. You're a delight. I've played with you before, and you're just wonderful to chit chat with on the Discord server. So
thank you, you too.
Also, I'm here. No, I haven't had many interactions with Anthony other than just chatting on the Eberron, and every time that's been enjoyable. But I've heard nothing but good things about all the interactions that Rebecca has had.
Well, thank you.
So, thank you. It has been a great time.
And thank you for everybody for listening. Again, go check out all of Anthony's stuff.
It feels like we're in a spiral. And
we are in a spiral now. We're just going to keep going and going and
it's been a really good time, and I want to thank you guys for being here. It was really enjoyable.
Yeah, super fun. Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.